What if the people you trust most, your own family, suddenly told you that you were in mortal danger? That invisible eyes were watching your every move, ready to strike at any moment? What if a simple family road trip twisted into a desperate flight from a terrifying unknown enemy? This is the unbelievable, true story of the TROMP family, a case so bizarre, so saturated with panic and confusion that it remains one of Australia's strangest modern mysteries. Get ready, because today we're uncovering the truth behind a road trip to madness. August 2016, Sylvan, a quiet farm town in rural Victoria, Australia. The TROMP family parents, Mark and Jacoba, and their 3 adult children, Mitchell, Ella, and Rihanna, were, by all accounts, a normal, hardworking family. They ran a successful berry farm and earth-moving business, living a peaceful, uneventful life. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. They had a comfortable home, their daily routines, their future plans. Life was predictable. It was stable. Until, in an instant, it wasn't. On Monday, August 29th, something inside the family unit snapped. This wasn't one person breaking down. It was a sudden, shared wave of intense paranoia that swept over almost all of them. The parents, Mark and Jacoba, became utterly convinced that someone or something was coming to rob and kill them. The danger felt overwhelmingly real, immediate, and inescapable. They believed they were being watched, tracked through their devices. In a move of pure, unadulterated desperation, they decided they had to run. Right then, right now. They frantically piled into the family's gray Peugeot station wagon, but this was no ordinary road trip. In their escalating panic, they made a series of baffling decisions that would later confound police and the public. They left their home unlocked, their businesses unattended. They left behind their passports, their credit cards, and most significantly in our hyper-connected world, their mobile phones. They wanted to vanish from the grid, to erase their digital footprints and escape the unseen eyes they believed were following them. Mark was so consumed by this fear that he forced his son, Mitchell, to throw his own phone out of the car window as they sped away into the unknown. Their flight was frantic, chaotic, and fueled by a terror that only they could perceive. As they drove north, hundreds of kilometers from the safety of their home, the immense stress and shared confusion only intensified. They were operating on pure instinct, with no plan, no destination, just the burning need to get away. The son, Mitchell, was the first to break from the collective delusion. He didn't share the same crippling fear as his parents. The next morning, near the city of Bathurst, he'd had enough. Confused but determined to return to some semblance of reality, he left the group. He began the long journey home, hitchhiking and taking trains back to Victoria, desperately trying to make sense of the madness he had just escaped. Later that same day, not far from the famous Genuine Caves, the 2 daughters, 22-year-old Ella and 29-year-old Rihanna, also reached their breaking point. They decided to leave their parents. They stole a car, drove to the town of Goulburn, and reported Mark and Jacoba as missing persons to the local police. But the paranoia hadn't entirely released its grip. Rihanna, in particular, was in a state of severe distress. Soon after speaking with authorities, the sisters separated, their shared panic now driving them apart. The family was now scattered across the vast state of New South Wales. The police were faced with a bizarre and urgent situation. They were searching for 5 people from the same family, all of whom had disappeared on a road trip with no clear destination. No phones, no money, and a terrifying story about unseen enemies. The hunt was on. The search quickly began to yield results, but each discovery was stranger than the last. First, Ella managed to get a ride and made it all the way back to the family farm in Sylvan. Shortly after, Mitchell arrived, having completed his own solo journey home. They were physically safe, but deeply disturbed and worried sick about their parents and sister. The first of the missing to be found by authorities was Rihanna. She was discovered, hundreds of kilometers away from where she'd last been seen, near Goulburn. A man found her hiding in the back of his ute, in what was described as a catatonic state. She was completely unresponsive, unable to speak, or even comprehend what was happening around her. She was immediately taken to a hospital for urgent psychiatric care. Next, the mother, Jacoba, was located. She was found wandering in a daze in the town of Yass, over 300 kilometers from her home. She was suffering from such intense stress and exhaustion that she, too, was admitted to a nearby hospital. She was physically safe, but mentally shattered by the ordeal. The final piece of the puzzle was the father, Mark. The search for him was the most extensive. He was seen fleeing from the stolen car the daughters had taken, and his erratic behavior sparked a massive police hunt. After days of searching, he was finally found on the side of a road near Wangaratta Airport, looking confused and disoriented. With Mark's discovery, the entire family was accounted for. They were all alive. But the central mystery of why they ran in the first place was still completely unsolved. Investigators descended on the TROMP farm, searching for any clue that could explain the family's sudden terror. They looked for signs of a break-in, evidence of a financial dispute, or any kind of external threat. They found nothing. There was no one watching them. No one was trying to steal their money. No one was planning to harm them. The threat, it seemed, had come from within. So what could have possibly happened? Investigators and psychologists have considered many possibilities. Was it a case of extreme, unmanaged stress from running their businesses? Could it have been an environmental factor, a reaction to some chemical or poison that temporarily affected their minds? While these are possibilities, the most compelling and frankly the most chilling theory is a rare psychological phenomenon known as folie à deux, which translates to the madness of two. But in this case, it would be folie à cinq, the madness of five. This condition describes a shared delusional disorder where a dominant person, suffering from a psychotic belief, transmits that delusion to others in their close circle. The belief becomes a shared reality. In this scenario, it's theorized that one of the parents, likely Mark, experienced a primary psychotic break. His conviction and panic were so powerful, so absolute, that it became contagious, infecting his wife and children, who then adopted the delusion as their own. It created a feedback loop of fear that spiraled out of control, forcing a shared temporary break from reality. The TROMP family has, understandably, remained mostly silent about the specific details of what they experienced, only stating publicly that their state of mind wasn't the best. The experience was deeply traumatic, a private nightmare played out on a public stage. They returned to their farm and attempted to piece their lives back together, but the simple, peaceful existence they once knew was forever changed by those terrifying 5 days. This bizarre case forces us to look into the dark and mysterious corners of the human mind. It makes us ask a fundamental question: are the biggest threats we face always outside our doors? Or do the most dangerous enemies sometimes wait inside us, dormant, waiting for the right moment to emerge? The answers are out there, waiting in the shadows of the unknown. We must keep seeking them, keep turning over these strange and unsettling mysteries of the past, so that their lessons and warnings don't fade into the void. If you were as gripped by this incredible case as we are, make sure to subscribe to Ancient Unsolved, where we uncover the past and discover the unknown. Give this video a thumbs up if you want more stories like this, and let us know your theories in the comments below. Until next time, stay curious.